Battle of Granikos. Alexander the Great took the first steps of a victorious war adventure against the Persian Empire. With the Battle of Granikos, this battle took place in 334 BC in Anatolia, near today's Dardanelles. Alexander wanted to conquer this region ruled by the Persians. When he saw a large Persian army gathered across the Granikos River, he knew that war was inevitable. They bravely crossed the river and faced the army of King Darius of Persia. During the battle, Alexander's courage and leadership abilities shone through. He stepped forward and engaged in a personal conflict with the Persians, during which he achieved a great victory at the Battle of Granikos in 334 BC. The death of Memnon, one of the Persian commanders, led to the disintegration of the Persian army. This victory emphasized Alexander's warrior spirit and determination against the Persian Empire. The Battle of Granikos marked the beginning of Alexander's successful conquests and cemented his place among the great commanders in history. Battle of Issos. Alexander the Great's Battle of Issus in 333 BC was a major engagement between the Persian army under the Persian Emperor Darius III and Alexander's Macedonian army. The battle was an important turning point in Alexander's Asian campaign. The battle took place near a coastal town called Issus, against the powerful and vast Persian Empire. Darius' army was large and well equipped, but Alexander managed to keep the morale of his troops high. On the day the battle began, Alexander encouraged his own troops and marched boldly against the Persians. Darius personally attacked Alexander, but in the end victory in the battle was on Alexander's side. Alexander defeated Darius' Persian army. The Battle of Issos was a demonstration of Alexander's swift and tactical war strategies. This victory was one of his major achievements against the Persian Empire and contributed to expanding the borders of the Macedonian Empire eastwards. Battle of Gaugamela. Alexander the Great's Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BC was an important turning point. During Alexander's Asian campaign, the battle took place between the Persian army under the Persian Emperor Darius III and Alexander's Macedonian army. The battle took place in the area called Gaugamela, and Alexander challenged Darius' Persian army with a large army. Alexander's soldiers were disciplined and had the ability to maneuver quickly. One of the key tactics of this battle was the use of an elephant shock, which Alexander wanted to use to weaken the Persian center. With the start of the battle, Alexander tried to encircle the Persian army by advancing rapidly. The Persians responded with large numbers of war elephants and mounted troops, but Alexander and the soldiers under his command gained the tactical advantage. At the end of the battle, the Persian army suffered a major defeat and Darius was forced to flee. The Battle of Gaugamela was a critical period in which Alexander defeated the Persian Empire and came close to capturing the Persian king Darius. This victory allowed Alexander to advance rapidly across Asia and took his imperial ambitions one step further. Battle of the Persian Pass. Alexander the Great was in the early years of his campaign against the Persian Empire in 334 BC. An important stop on this campaign was the Battle of the Persian Pass. This was a critical battle at which Alexander faced the army of the Persian Emperor Darius III. As Alexander approached the Persian Pass in the Darind Valley in southeastern Iran, Darius' army prepared to meet him. The Persian army aimed to take advantage of the narrow corridors of the Persian Pass. When the battle began, Alexander and his army did not allow the Persians to gain an advantage in the narrow spaces of the pass. Alexander used war elephants and light infantry units to squeeze the Persians into the narrow corridors. This tactic limited the Persian army's ability to maneuver and gave Alexander's army the upper hand. As a result, the Battle of the Persian Pass was an important turning point in Alexander's continued chain of victories against the Persian Empire. This victory once again demonstrated Alexander's military genius and tactical skills. The Battle of the Persian Pass accelerated Alexander's advance against the Persian Empire and left its mark on history. Alexander continued his advance towards Persepolis, the capital of the Persian Empire. Battle of Hydaspes. At a time when Alexander the Great was constantly expanding the borders of his conquered territories, the Battle of Hydaspes is a historical event. This battle took place as part of Alexander's advance into the Indian subcontinent and represents a historically significant struggle. In the midst of the battle, Alexander and his army confronted the Indian Empire under the command of his officer Porus. This battle, which took place on the banks of the Hydaspes River, turned into a pitched battle. Porus's army outnumbered Alexander's and had powerful instruments of war, including war elephants. During the Battle of Hydaspes, Alexander and his army fought bravely, pushing Porus' powerful army to the limit. Alexander suffered serious injuries during the battle, but was victorious at the end of the battle. Porus surrendered after the battle and was released by Alexander. Because he had a deep respect for his courage and resistance, Alexander the Great's life began as a fascinating journey, full of victories, but his death ended in extraordinary darkness. Alexander fell about a week before his death, when his health deteriorated and his drunkenness began to pose more and more problems. Although the exact cause is unknown, Alexander's state of health deteriorated rapidly, with fever, breathing difficulties and rapid weakening. On his deathbed, many questions and conspiracy theories were raised. Who was behind Alexander's death is still a mystery. His death in 323 BC marked the end of an era. At a young age, only 32 years old, Alexander lost his life. Alexander's death put an end to his conquests and left behind a huge empire and the search for a successor. After his death, this empire was divided into many parts and power struggles began between Alexander's generals. Alexander's generals began to establish independent kingdoms and governments in their own regions. For example, generals such as Ptolemy in Egypt, Seleucus in Syria, Lysimachus in Asia Minor, and Antigonus in Macedonia established their own kingdoms and shared the territory of the Alexander Empire. During these internal conflicts, the Roman Republic began to expand eastwards into the Alexander Empire. Rome took advantage of this complicated situation to capture some territories. In Macedonia, a general named Cassandros married Alexander the Great's sister Thessalonica and took over the government and established the Kingdom of Macedonia. During this period, Cassandros also destroyed Alexander's family